Gauteng Police Commissioner Elias Mawela also saying robberies and hijackings on our roads can be avoided if government fixes the country's broken infrastructure. Let's talk electricity, let's talk potholes, of course, that's the most obvious. Mawela says police officials identified 10 roads in the province and nationally that require urgent infrastructure. And this is all, Heidi Giokos, good to have you with us, for the sake of safety as well. This is beyond driver safety. Now we're talking about the safety of citizens every day.
Yes, absolutely. And in this exclusive and breaking news that we have here on eNCA, Gareth, we do understand that the Provincial Police Commissioner, General Elias Mawela, back in 2021, to be specific, on the 14th of April, wrote a letter to the provincial government, which was under the Premier of David Makhura back then, together with the Director General at the time, officials within the Department of Transport and Roads in the province, identifying 10 hotspot roads, so 10 hotspot crime roads that the Provincial Commissioner felt needed to be urgently addressed, highlighting the fact that these roads are problematic. They are prone to criminals putting spikes in the road. You can be hijacked on these roads because the lighting is really bad. The Provincial Commissioner is saying that this urgently needs to be addressed, really having foresight into areas that are clearly problematic. And before we listen to what the Premier had to say, the Provincial Commissioner had to say, he did say that the Premier was passing on these emails and forwarding these emails to the various departments that were involved. But 2 years later, Gareth, nobody has bothered to answer the Provincial Commissioner or the SAPs in the province as to whether or not they've even received the email, whether or not they're going to do anything about it, and whether or not anything has been done or money has been allocated to address these issues. What's even more alarming is the fact that the Provincial Commissioner told eNCA this morning that what happened to the Minister of Transport with her and her security being robbed could have been averted if these roads were properly lit and there was proper visibility on the road, and basically saying that something should have been done about this long ago. But absolutely nothing has been done for 2 years. Let's listen to that engagement with the Provincial Police Commissioner.
2021, in the height of all this spiking in the province, we have done a docket analysis and we have done our crime pattern analysis to can check where are these incidents of spiking happening. And then we have identified 10 roads, provincial and national roads, whereby the environmental design of those roads were not favorable for effective policing. And because criminals, they commit crime especially in those areas whereby it is not favorable for effective policing. And what we have identified in those roads, provincial and national roads, we find that it is dark. There's no street, there's no lighting in that particular space. So what I did from my part, because of the Premier of Gauteng then, Premier Makhura, gave me the BMWs to patrol the freeways. I said, yes, I have the resources to can patrol, but also the environmental design of these roads need to be attended to. As a result, I brought it to the attention of the DG, Department of Transport, nationally, because they are responsible for national roads. I've also brought it to the attention of the HOD Transport at the province. But the Premier was copying him through his late Director General to say that, take note, this is what I am putting in place. I'm requesting this department to can see the challenges I'm experiencing when I police this road so that they can put it in their plans. I know that putting the lights in those roads is not something which they can do it next week, but to give them ample time to plan accordingly, see how best can they improve lighting in those roads. And even now, we look the number of road fatalities, the criminality which is happening in those roads, the hijacking of trucks, they are still happening in those roads which are dark. And until such time that we give attention to the environmental design of our roads, we'll keep on being reactive.
I want to ask you, was that letter ever responded to, firstly? Secondly, has anything been done to those roads that you've highlighted, those 10 provincial and national roads?
No, thus far, that is why we are still experiencing the same criminal activities. Nothing as yet has been done. And the letter I've sent it, no one responded to it.
Terrifying to think that someone in that position can't even get emails replied to. Heidi, just before I let you go as well, we just had a story a few minutes ago on the safety campaigns down in the Western Cape, keeping people safe ahead of December. Now, if you look at what the police commissioner has been saying, it doesn't bode well for Gauteng and Joburg this coming December either.
No, absolutely not. Also, given the fact that 2 people were shot outside the Randburg Magistrates Court this morning at 7 o'clock while walking into the courtroom. What does this say about our safety? We also do know that a 34-year-old was raped and murdered about a week ago, Gareth, while she was running in the George Lee Park here in Parkmore. So these cases are horrifying, they are terrifying, and the Provincial Police Commissioner is saying he's trying his very best to get more visibility, but it's a collective effort. It's going to take more than just the police to have enough boots on the ground. It needs to include the CPF, it needs to include private security, but it also needs to include communities to be on the lookout. It shouldn't be our responsibility. I mean, if you want to go run in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, as a woman in this country, you should be able to do so. But unfortunately, the reality is not that for us as women. And I mean, walking into a court, they were actually at the entrance of the courts. It wasn't inside the courts. How do these things happen? But the Provincial Police Commissioner is saying they are in high alert, moving into festive season. It's always called a silly season, and they are trying their very best to try and keep us a little bit safer, Gareth.
Yeah, and this is why we're asking the key question, our focus on eNCA for today. Are you safe? Are we safe? How do you feel safe? How do you make yourself feel safe here in South Africa? Heidi Giokos on top of that for us. We're hurtling very quickly, as she says, to what's known as silly season. And right now, there might be plans, but not much seems to be happening on the ground.